Hey everybody. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Michael Wheeler. You can find more information about me on my website at w2b.cc. So I'm here today. I wanted to share some information that I've kind of come together, brought together in regards to depression, happiness, and just overall kind of sense of well-being. There's a lot of different concepts that I've been working through lately, and because of some personal things that have been happening in my life, I really feel like I've hit the apex of a bunch of different concepts coming together to the point to where they really can gelled. They really gelled together to um, provide meaning and insight to me in a way that I'd never seen before. And this was so powerful for me that I really feel like it's changed my life forever. And it's taken years and years and years to get these different ideas together. So I'm going to go ahead and share all this because I think it's really important, and hopefully this will help some people get to it quicker without all the years and years and years of different um, learning lessons that you have to go through. Every once in a while you'll see me look down. I have my book of notes where I've been kind of working through stuff. So here again, this is just kind of a bunch of different ideas which came from different places. And I was able to put all those together and from that come up with this. So one of the things to start off with is talking about overall happiness and just trying to be happy on a daily basis. And throughout my life, I've had different aspects of that. Like be happy for a little while, but then sometimes you're just kind of down, or everything just kind of seems meh. It's just kind of it's not where you feel like it should be, and there's just a lot of different components that go on with that. And so there's a multitude of different things that I've kind of come across, which I think really tie it all together, which really gives you the foundation of being able to be happy no matter what the situation is. So one of the things I'd like to start off by talking about is struggle. So what happens is that in life, we have all these different events that we end up going through, and so many of those different events we have to struggle with. And struggle is a very natural process. It's the process of growth. If you're not struggling, you're not growing. And so we have to struggle, and unfortunately, we have to struggle constantly. And it's not really unfortunate. When we're struggling, that means that we're able to take the opportunity to grow. And as long as we think about it that way and don't make struggle a negative concept in our mind, it can be a very powerful tool for us. And so, along with struggling comes the ideas of how we deal with our emotional reflex to different things. So one of the things and the concepts that I've kind of been able to work through in my mind is that an event happens. And from that event, we get a trigger. And that trigger is based upon a perception that we have. And that perception is due to beliefs that we have. So the analogy and the example of this is I'm driving down the road, somebody cuts me off, and I go and I put that person in my passenger seat. I'm instantly, why did they cut me off? Those people, they suck, they're horrible. They did it on purpose and all these other things. So instantly, the event happened, they cut me off. My trigger was my negativity that started to flow from that. And so what I did was is I fell back on my perception. My perception was they cut me off intentionally. And I believe that because my belief is everybody's out to get me. Of course they're going to do it intentionally. Why wouldn't they? They're a bunch of jerks. Dut, 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 dut. And so what happens though is I cause this negative cascading approach. I put that person in the passenger seat. I'm upset about it for the rest of the day. I take it into the office. I spread that nastiness, and it just keeps on going. So what we need to be able to do is we need to be able to look at it and number one, first off, change our belief. And the belief is everybody's selfish. And we're supposed to be selfish. And I'll talk some more about that in a minute. But other people don't do things because of you. Everything everyone does is because of themselves. So if you go and you say something to somebody and they get all upset about it or whatever, they got upset because of themselves. They got upset because of what I'm talking about right here. They got upset because of their perception and their beliefs of what you said. Sure, you were the catalyst that drove it, but at the same term, they were the reason why they got upset. Everybody does everything for themselves. And everything everyone does is because of themselves. It's because of their history. It's because of who they are. It's not because of you as an individual. All we get to control is our own emotions and our own attitudes. So back to the putting the person in the passenger seat, if I change my belief, and my belief now becomes that, people don't pay attention, and that people are looking for themselves, and that people are in their own world most of the time. When that person cut me off, I don't even think anything of it. They cut me off just because they're not really paying attention, and that's just what it is. And then I can choose on whether or not I want to get upset about that. But then again, I have to realize me getting upset about that is my own reflex, my own response to that perception of them cutting me off. And that's only hurting myself. Why would I want to give myself the negative attitude, the negative energy? So when I say like negative energy, let's talk about that for a second. Let's talk about emotions. So of course there's a whole spectrum and array of emotions. I have happiness and sadness. And then I also have, excitement. And then I have anger or hate. So when I talk about things like excitement and anger and hate, those are very high energy emotions. They take a lot of energy to be in those emotional states. When I talk about happiness, happiness does not require emotion to be in that state. Neither does sadness. And there's nothing wrong with being sad. We need to experience all emotions. We need to experience the spectrum of emotions. At times you're going to be sad because sad things happen. That's fine. But you don't want to live in a state of sadness because that means that something else is wrong. And so what I believe and what I've come to realize is that there's this foundational framework that we set on emotionally. And so until we can manage all of this, we can never comfortably rest in an energy-free state of happiness and just kind of be there at a level of happiness. And so one of the things you need to do to get to that state is you need to get rid of grief and you need to get rid of regret. And so what happens is there's a great process I got to go through a little while back, which has helped me get rid of the grief out of my life. And what it was is because grief is unresolved communication. And so you have to resolve that communication to let that grief go. And so what I was finding is every time where I should be happy, I'm not really happy. And I have that uncomfortable kind of feeling and, that sadness and maybe a little bit of depression going on there. But that's coming about because there's grief in my life that I'm not really aware of or I'm not dealing with or I wasn't handling. And so what would happen is I'd come down through my emotional states, my energy would be coming off, and all of a sudden I sit there and I hit that wall of grief. And that wall of grief doesn't allow me to switch down to that baseline of happiness and be there. And so we have to use the tools to work through that, to work and get rid of that grief out of our life and get rid of those regrets out of our life. And then that will help us really be able to be in that energy-free state of just happiness. And so that's a really good place to be. And that's the idea. That's what we're trying to be. We're just trying to be able to be happy and comfortable with things no matter what's going on. So here again, when I say that, you gotta understand situations are gonna be really hard and you're gonna struggle with those situations. But if you can embrace the struggle of the situation and you can understand like this hurts me, this makes me cry, this makes me upset, this makes me sad, that's fine. You can be that way. But that's also should be momentarily happening. It should not go on and on and on. And then, because the thing that we have to look for is we have to dig into the why, or just have the understanding for it. Someone passes, you're going to be upset about that because now you're dealing with loss. But as long as you've had close communication with that person, there should be no long-term grief associated with that. So it's fine to be the sad when that happens, but it's not something that you should hold on to and carry with you on a daily basis. So here again, what we're talking about is being able to do emotional management to go through and experience high energy emotions, but also to be able to rest at a state of happiness. So one thing that Jim Carrey talked about in an interview that I saw, which I just thought was brilliant, was he's talking about how everybody is a character. And so he talks about how we all play a character. We're all playing a role. And that is who we are. And so that character that we're playing is who we are. And what happens is life starts to happen. And so as life happens and life starts to push down on us, it causes depression because it's pushing down on this character. Now, for us to get out from under that depression, that pressing down on all these different events of things that we don't like, things that we want to change, but for whatever reason we're not able to change, we're not willing to make the changes, we're not willing to embrace the struggle with it or whatnot. So then we have to make a choice. Either we totally become a new character and then we do go through that change, and so we get rid of that depression, which means that we went through a growth phase, so we embraced that. So that's the good way to do it. The other thing that happens though sometimes is people just get pushed down by it. And so with that depression of those events, because of the resistance to change, people will find escape. And until they change that character that they're playing, until they become someone slightly different or much different, more enlightened, more whatever you want to call it, they will suffer and live with that depression. And a lot of times that then becomes escapes. And that's where people look for different, substance abuse type escapes. They look for the, workaholics or just whatever holic kind of answers there. So that's one thing that we always want to be mindful of. Is how are we handling that? And also just, are we suffering from any kind of depression? Are we suffering from any kind of grief that we haven't really dealt with? So here again, there's some wonderful processes to close the communication loop, which will then help free you from different grief. So just to recap on a couple things here, at the end of the day, this is really about emotional management to maintain happiness. And so what we have to remember is that we need to be selfish. On the airlines, I heard this the other day, I thought it was a great analogy. On the airlines, they always tell you to put your oxygen mask on first so that you can help others. And that's just the way it has to be in life. I have to be able to keep my stuff together and take care of myself first, so then I can go out and I can help others. Because if I don't, I'm not going to be able to do a really complete job at it. I'm not going to be the person that I need to be able to help those other people. And so the other thing too is we got to remember everybody's does things for themselves, and everybody is thinking about themselves, which is fine. And when people do things, they don't do it because of you. They do it because of themselves. So when somebody comes up and they're angry and they start yelling and screaming at you, and they want to fight or they want to whatever, all of that is because of them. It has nothing to do with you. And at that moment, you are given the opportunity to do what you feel is right, what you would want to do for you, what's best for you. And at that point, be selfish and do what's right for you. Don't cave to other people's whims just because. Become selfish and stay healthy. Do the right emotional things for yourself. One of the books that I love so much is The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. And one of the things they talk about in there is about doing your best. And it's so important that we always do our best, because our best gives us a clear conscience for ourselves. And that way we know, we have this baseline, this feeling in our hearts that we are good people. We do our best. And your best is always going to change. I could be really tired and my best is not as good as it is if I'm fully rested. So you have this huge variance in it. But as long as I always try and do my best, then I am doing my best. And that's what's important. So that's some of the ideas that I've had that I've just been wanting to get out and share. I mean, it's been super impactful for me, and I've really found a huge difference with it. Again, I've been going through a huge struggle lately with some personal issues. And without this coming together for me, I don't know how I would have handled it. I would have been crazy, totally crazy in a bad way. But luckily, I've been able to realize and open my mind and be accepting of why things are happening, accepting that not everything's happening because of me. I have my part and my role that I'm playing in it, of course. And as long as I can be happy with that role that I'm playing and be proud of who I am and what I'm doing with it, and when I go to look back on this a year from now, 5 years, 10 years from now, to be able to look back and be like, yes, I did what was right, and be true to myself about what I'm doing. then that's all I can do. But here again, at the end of the day, I really do feel that I hit that baseline of happiness. Does that mean that I'm running around with a smile on my face all the time and that I'm just giggly? No. What that means is that I'm comfortable and I'm not sad. Um, and things are just okay. And that's a good place to be. So, as always, if anybody has any questions or would like to chat with me, I always love talking about this topic. You can feel free to reach out to me. Once again, my name is Mike Wheeler. 907-360-7771 is my cell phone. Also, make sure to check out my website, the w2b.cc. I'll have more information about cleansing and all kinds of stuff, and I'll work on getting some more information out there soon. I believe I have the grief information already posted out there. So thank you everybody for watching, and I hope this I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope this helps you out. Please leave me some comments on what you think about this and how these ideas help you, because the more that we can share, the more we can help other people. There's nothing worse than watching someone, or even yourself, there's nothing worse than suffering through depression on a daily basis. It's horrible. And let's do something about it. Let's help people find their happiness. Thanks.